The year is 2006. NASCAR's popularity is at its peak, with 20 million viewers tuning in for that year's Daytona 500. Not only that, but NASCAR would be relevant in other forms of media, especially in the movie department. That year would see two movies that were related to the American Stock Car Racing League. Cars, released by Pixar, which was a PG animated kids film that has a large following even to this day, and Talladega Nights, the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, an adult comedy which can be argued for being one of the most famous racing movies of all time. The movie follows Ricky Bobby and his friend Cal Nottingham Jr., played respectfully by Will Ferrell and John C. Reilly, and their issues with a new hired driver joining the team they race for, Dennett Racing. That person was John Girard, a former Formula One driver who came over to America to dominate NASCAR. It's overall an extremely funny movie and has some of the most quotable lines that are still used to this day.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Now, is there anyone out there who wants to go fast? Anybody?
I want to go fast.
Hey, get him a suit. Hurry up.
Dear 8-pound, 6-ounce, newborn infant Jesus.
I want to say to all you other drivers out there, if you smell a delicious, crispy smell after the race, it's not your tailpipe, it's a little bit of shake and then bake. Shake and bake!
The three main characters of this film also had some incredible looking NASCAR paint schemes, such as the Wonder Bread car, Old Spice car, Me car, and the Perrier car. All of these cars look absolutely incredible, but two of these designs would actually be brought back almost 17 years later as a throwback at the Talladega racetrack. Those two were the Wonder Bread car and the Old Spice car, and man did they look good. In fact, they were so good that I obtained both of these cars in diecast form at the highest quality possible. So in today's video, I'll show you what these cars look like in this diecast review video. Alright, so here are both of the Talladega Nights cars. Here on the top is Ryan Preece's Wonder Bread car, the number 41. This is the car that was driven by Ricky Bobby in the movie, or it's a tribute to the car that Ricky Bobby drove in the movie. And here is the number 14 of Chase Briscoe, his Old Spice car, which is the tribute to Cal Nottingham Jr.'s number 47 Old Spice car in the movie. Now, these two are probably one of the most iconic duo in terms of paint schemes out there. You can have duos like maybe Dale Earnhardt's Good Wrench and Jeff Gordon's DuPont car. Those two together are probably the most iconic duo of paint schemes throughout the entire 90s. I'd say throughout the 2000s, this would be probably the most popular duo of paint schemes maybe ever, honestly, because they're just that iconic. So I want to start with this one on the bottom, the Chase Briscoe number 14 Old Spice car. So let me put this one to the side and we will get to that in a second. Let me open this up real quick. This is the highest quality that you can get these cars in. This is an elite standard finish, which means it is a normal looking car. It is a normal raced version, or the normal version of that car. It's not like a color chrome or liquid color, something like that, which is it's not frowned upon in the NASCAR diecast community, but this is the best version that you get. So I had to pull it out like that because I'm currently holding the microphone in my other hand. So first thing you get whenever you buy these cars from Lionel is you get these three little pieces of paper or cardboard. You have the Elite Certificate of Authenticity to tell you that this is indeed an Elite, the return label, which of course you get with all the cars. And then finally you have the advertisement for Lionel's Garage, which Lionel's Garage is a very interesting thing because that's kind of how I figured out what the DINs on these cars mean, is that it's the number of which they were produced. So enough of the DINs, let's look at this absolute beauty of a car. This is, without a doubt, I'd say one of my top 3 favorite cars from the last season, or maybe top 5. I think there's a couple of cars that from last season that I love more than this, but this is one of the best cars from last season. The colors are on point. I'll have it on the screen right now, but these colors are on point with the car that Cal Nottingham Jr. drove in the Talladega Nights movie. This is an incredible remake, and it is incredibly detailed as well. It's quite heavy as well. Compared to the normal ARC versions, the Elites are heavier, they're more detailed. It's really cool, and I love this car so much. The only issue with this thing is, if you can see right there, between the 14 and the Old Spice logo, it just feels so empty right there. This is the thing that I don't like about the next gens in terms of this, is that if the number was right here instead of where it is here, it would be a 10 out of 10, honestly. There wouldn't be as much empty space as there is on this car right now. It could be the 14 would be here, and maybe this Ford Performance logo would be up here. It would be a great looking car. But just because the numbers slanted up more, it looks just incomplete. It feels like it needs something here, or this logo needs to be a little bit bigger to fill in this empty space. It's honestly still a 10 out of 10 car, but this would have made it 11 out of 10 car if this was somehow figured out to use a little bit more of the space. And that's something I have to talk about on the Wonder Bread car as well. But as you can see right here, we're gonna now go over to the front of the car. Whoop. All right, so here's the front of the car. And you can see the Old Spice logo right there with the ship. Such a nice looking logo. It's really clean. That's what I'll say about this car, is that it looks extremely clean. You can see right there the logos on the side. I will say they did a good job in the back, in the rear end. Maybe one more logo towards the top left of that, just above the right rear quarter panel. That might have done a little bit better, but it just looks so good. The colors are on point. And Old Spice is literally everywhere on this car. Let me point it towards the back here. This is the Old Spice car. You can tell because it has Old Spice literally everywhere. The bumper, the rear deck lid, the left side, the left, the right, the front, even on the hood, or on the roof, I mean. Let me open up the engine real quick. All right, so here is the hood, or it's the engine of the car. You can tell it's a little less detailed than the cars from like earlier years. That's because the next gen is very simplified when it comes to stuff like this. The inner parts of it are much more simplified than the cars of like 2012 and 2013, 2020 even. It's something that I wish had more detail in them. I wish these engines were as detailed as they were back then. But other than that, this car, that's just like something that isn't even based on this car at all. That's just like a kind of a complaint for the next gen in general, is that it should have a little bit more engine space in them. But here is the rest of the car. And now it's time to go move on to the second of these two cars, which is the iconic Wonder Bread car driven by Ricky Bobby. So let me get that real quick and then we'll continue on. And we are back. So here is the second car of this duo. This is Ryan Preece's number 41 Wonder Bread car that he also raced during the Talladega Fall race. This is another one of those incredible looking cars, easily in my top 10, maybe even top 5 from the best cars of last year. So let me open this up real quick. All right, so here is the second of those two cars. This is probably the most iconic car, or second iconic. I think this car and the Me car from the Talladega Nights movie have a very close competition on being the best looking car from that movie, or most iconic car from that movie. But this is Ryan Preece's number 41 Wonder Bread car that he also drove during the Talladega race. What an incredible looking car, and what an incredible tribute actually to the original car. As you can see here, everything on this car is exactly on point with its original from the 2006 movie. Just like the Old Spice car, the exact same sponsors are on board for this car as well. And the only issue, once again, is this lack of space in the middle. This one does a better job though, even though it feels like it has less, or it has more of an empty gap. The flames do help kind of take away from that empty space, honestly. It still looks incredibly good. The flames running down the side, the red and the yellow. The red, yellow, and blue on this car just works so well together. And the yellow number especially, that also looks extremely good. Now, the reason why this car is special is because it's from the movie. But this isn't the first time that we've had cars from Talladega Nights have been done as a tribute at the Talladega racetrack. Because if you didn't know, back in 2012, Kurt Busch in the number 51, he ran the Me car, as you probably will be seeing on the screen right now. That car was also in the front of the pack, just like this one. It led laps and also got a lot of attention online because of it. Now this car is also extremely good. Just wish there was a little bit more detail, or more, like a little bit more of a something here. Maybe these sponsors could be a little bit bigger here. I don't know. It's just because the number is slid up forward. If it wasn't slid up forward and these contingency sponsors down here were actually put towards the front, that would be a lot better looking, and probably this would be my favorite car from last year actually. This one is easily in the top 5 because I love the Wonder Bread car. It's one of the best looking cars that was in the entire movie. It's one of the best looking cars, honestly, of the Gen 4 era. It didn't even run in real competition, but just like the Old Spice car, The Wonder Bread logo is literally everywhere on this car, and it's insane to look at. But contingency sponsors also did a good job of the right and left rear of this car. This car is easily one of the best of last year. Let me open up the hood and then I will wrap things up. All right, so here's what it looks like with the hood open. It's basically identical to the Old Spice car. You can see the sponsors down there. You can see the engine. It's not that impressive compared to older cars, but that's basically what the next gen is. It's kind of supposed to be more protective. All the cars are supposed to look the same because of the single source parts. Everything comes from the same manufacturer, but yet we have cars like this that still make me smile, and they look incredibly good. These are both of the cars next to each other, and it feels like they're meant to be together. And the cool thing about this is that if you didn't know, when these cars were being ran during the Talladega Fall Race, the Stewart-Haas racing team, which is the team that ran both of these cars, got all the sponsors, they actually changed their profile picture on all of their social media accounts to replicate the Dennett Racing team logo, to almost the exact same font, the exact same style. They even had their drivers dress up like and talk like the characters from the movie. Preetz would talk like Ricky Bobby, Briscoe would talk like Nottingham Jr. It was such a cool thing to see. And now this team is unfortunately going under at the end of the season, but this will be one of the cool things to remember from that team in the past couple of years, that they did something special like this to go kind of out of their way and throw it back to one of the most iconic movies, or one of the most iconic racing movies of all time, with the two most iconic cars, or the most iconic duos of all time. It's really cool. The only thing that would have been better is if they ran a third car and it was a Perrier car, but unfortunately we didn't get that because they probably couldn't get it on board, or else we probably would have seen someone like Eric Almirola or probably Kevin Harvick run that car. But I want to thank you all so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, please like, subscribe, and comment down below which of these two is your favorite, the Wonder Bread or the Old Spice car. Until then, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.